Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to completely transform the way your business operates by demystifying the incredible, rapidly evolving world of AI workflow automation. Look, if you've ever felt like there just aren't enough hours in the day, or that your team is constantly bogged down by mind-numbing repetitive digital chores that just drain all their energy, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to look at the exact tools that can finally give you your time back.
So, here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the AI automation revolution. Check out Zapier's AI teammates, compare the big three platforms, break down the real costs, and finally, help you choose your specific automation engine. Let's just dive right in.
All right, Section 1, the AI automation revolution, and more importantly, escaping the sea of manual tasks.
I want you to do a quick audit of your own workday right now. Seriously, think about your daily routine. Are you spending hours doing repetitive busy work instead of focusing on actual strategic growth? You know the exact tasks I'm talking about. Staring blankly at a screen while exporting endless CSV files, or manually copying and pasting customer data from a messy email thread into your CRM. Or maybe you're playing human bridge between two apps that stubbornly refuse to talk to each other. It's soul-crushing. But, as our sources point out, this isn't just boring work that makes you want to pull your hair out, it's a critical bottleneck. It actively stifles your business's growth by keeping your sharpest minds tied up in robotic chores. To truly escape that sea of tasks, we first need to define exactly what an AI agent is in this context. And I want you to think of it not just as a piece of software you install, but as a genuine digital teammate. See, unlike basic automation that just follows rigid, blind rules, an AI agent is an autonomous, context-aware digital teammate. It uses natural language to understand your instructions, makes intelligent decisions based on real-time data analysis, and can autonomously execute complex, multi-step workflows. It's literally the fundamental difference between a rigid machine that just repeats a single motion until it breaks, and a tireless assistant who actually understands your ultimate goal. And the best part? This teammate never sleeps, never takes a coffee break, and absolutely never complains about working weekends.
So how do we actually implement this? Well, it comes down to a highly actionable four-step process that any business can follow to start offloading that heavy lifting. First, identify the repetitive tasks consuming your team's time. Just get them down on paper. Second, select the right AI tools, which we are totally going to help you with today. Third, design your workflows. And the absolute magic here is that today you can design these workflows entirely in plain English without writing a single line of code. And fourth, you test, monitor, and continuously optimize your flows as your business processes naturally evolve.
Which brings us nicely to Section 2, Zapier's AI teammates, your plain English digital assistants. There is a stark, almost unbelievable contrast between the old, rigid way of automating and this massive new standard. Traditional automation was notoriously fragile, right? It forced you to painstakingly map out every single possible scenario, using strict if-then rules and hard-coded pathways. If an edge case happened, say a customer typoed their email address or a date format changed, boom, the entire automation broke, and you had to go in and manually fix it. Zapier's AI agents, however, use dynamic, context-aware decision-making through plain English instructions. You literally just chat with a system copilot. It feels exactly like training a new human employee. You give it your instructions, the agent asks clarifying questions if it gets confused, and then it autonomously builds the entire resilient workflow for you. And the sheer power of Zapier is anchored by one massive industry-leading number: over 7,000 app integrations. Just think about that for a second. That represents thousands of unique applications your new digital teammate can instantly access. From pulling fresh leads out of Salesforce to dropping updates in Slack, checking your live inventory on Shopify, or even answering support tickets in Zendesk. Your AI agent can pull data, crunch numbers, and message customers across your entire tech stack, and again, you didn't write a single line of code. It's an absolute ocean of unmatched connectivity.
To ground this in a very real-world use case, let's look at meeting scheduling. When a high-value prospect requests a demo, the Zapier agent doesn't just passively fire off a generic impersonal calendar link. Instead, it analyzes both parties' calendar availability. It suggests optimal time slots while autonomously handling complex time zone conversions, sparing you from the absolute headache of figuring out Central European summertime versus Pacific Standard Time. Then it autonomously books the meeting with full agenda details. Our sources note that having an agent handle the specific, tedious flow saves an average of 15 minutes per request. If your sales team does dozens of demos a week, that is literally hours of recovered high-value productivity directly returned to your business.
All right, Section 3, the big three compared. We're looking at Zapier, Make, and N8N. Because as amazing as Zapier is, one size definitely does not fit all. The crucial point here is finding your Goldilocks tool. And the perfect fit depends entirely on how your team operates. If your team is strictly non-technical and you prioritize absolute simplicity alongside mass connectivity, Zapier is absolutely your winner. It gets you off the ground in minutes, though keep in mind it can get quite expensive for complex or high-volume workflows. But what if you're more of a visual thinker? If you love whiteboarding and need to build complex branching logic on a more moderate budget, Make is a fantastic middle ground. It gives you a beautiful, visual drag-and-drop canvas where you can literally see the data flowing between apps. It's incredibly intuitive for power users. And finally, if you have a team of developers, process massive volumes of complex data, or demand absolute privacy, N8N is your ultimate tool. It offers virtually limitless customization and self-hosting. It does come with a steep learning curve for sure, but the freedom it grants is just unparalleled.
Speaking of privacy, I really want to ask, where are your data privacy boundaries? Because this is exactly where N8N completely separates itself from the rest of the pack. The stakes here are super high. When you use cloud tools like Zapier or Make, you're essentially handing your application credentials and your sensitive business data over to a third party. For a lot of businesses, that's totally fine, but N8N is fundamentally different. It's open source and allows for ultimate data privacy via self-hosting. If your company handles strict HIPAA-compliant patient health records, GDPR-restricted European data, or highly sensitive financial information, keeping that data completely off third-party clouds isn't just a nice feature, it's an absolute non-negotiable requirement.
Moving into Section 4, breaking down the costs, pay per task versus execution.
You absolutely have to understand how these pricing models differ before you commit, because it directly impacts your bottom line. Zapier charges per task. This means every single successful action in your workflow costs one task. If you build a beautifully complex 10-step automation, that's 10 tasks drained from your quota per single run. This model actively punishes complexity. The smarter you make your workflow, the more you pay. Make charges per operation, which functions similarly, but they're generally much more generous with their volume limits. Meanwhile, NN completely flips the script by charging per execution. A single complete run of a workflow is counted as just one execution. It doesn't matter if that workflow has 2 simple steps or 75 highly complex branching steps. And the real kicker? If you self-host NN on your own hardware, the software cost is literally $0.
Let's make these financial stakes perfectly tangible with a highly realistic 20,000 run e-commerce workflow comparison. Imagine you run a busy store. You have a robust 10-action workflow that triggers off a new Shopify order. It syncs to HubSpot, adds them to Klaviyo, drops a celebration message in Slack, and logs it in a Google Sheet. Now imagine that workflow running 20,000 times a month. On Zapier, because of the per-task pricing, that equals 200,000 tasks. That sheer volume puts you on a massive, high-tier plan costing well over $500 every single month. Make would also require a fairly costly high-tier plan to handle that load. But on NAN Cloud, that's calculated as just 20,000 executions. That exact same volume will run you maybe $50 to $120 a month. And if you have the technical chops to self-host NAN, you pay $0 for the software itself and maybe $3 to $6 a month to rent your own server space. The savings you get at scale are absolutely massive.
Let's move to our fifth and final section, choosing your automation engine and finding your perfect fit. We've seen the power, we've compared the players, and we've crunched the numbers. And as learning advisor Emily Hilton so perfectly points out, the question is no longer which AI is the best, but rather how businesses can effectively implement these tools to unlock their full potential. Integrating these platforms is no longer a fun, futuristic experiment to tinker with on a Friday afternoon. It's a strategic necessity for business survival right now. The technology is completely here, it's widely accessible, and it absolutely works. The companies that bravely adopt these platforms and lean into AI teammates are going to rapidly outscale and outmaneuver the competitors who are still stuck manually copying and pasting data.
So I'll leave you with this final, crucial thought to ponder as you look at your own daily operations. If you could seamlessly offload 80% of your repetitive tasks tomorrow morning, what strategic growth would you focus on? Imagine all those hours magically reappearing on your calendar. What incredible things could you build, create, or launch if your digital teammates gave you all your time back? The tools are sitting right there, waiting for you to build that future. Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and happy automating!